I didn't even think about the implications of something like that until we started talking. I'm like, where else would you get this data? These are big boroughs. These are big places. And temperature changes throughout the year. It's not the same all the time, especially in a place like New York where there's four distinct seasons. And it does get cold there too. So it's fascinating to think about this data layer is this driving engine as an API inside of these applications. Very cool. So if you're wildly successful, I'm just taking this to my own logical conclusion. What changes in cities around the world? Is it an overall reduction in temperature? Like what changes?
So you have to understand the current situation first, and then probably predict how things are going to shape and where we can be of value. First of all, there is more urbanization happenings, right? So basically, we're building more cities. People are moving from outside to the city, and the connection or the distance between what we call the suburb and the city center is just getting closer, right? So city centers are expanding. We're building more roads, we're having more buildings, there is more housing, population is increasing, immigration is happening. So it's going to places where city centers are and it's already hot and now it's getting hotter. What we can only predict is that temperature is just going to go higher. There's a metaphor that I use, and it is a funny metaphor, but I'd like to use it here as well. I don't know if you remember, Mike, in high school, the science teacher, she took the frog and she put it in boiling water, and the frog just jumped out, right? And then she took the same frog and she put it in a chilled water pot, and the pot, he kept heating up the pot little by little. The frog kept adapting its temperature until it died inside. Now, again, it's a metaphor. Sometimes it just jumps out and sometimes it just stays. But I feel
Right.
like we are in a position where we continue to have our cities overheat and we keep adapting to this temperature. So we're building larger indoors, bigger malls. A lot of people are just spending time indoors. Man, we run marathons now inside malls. Like imagine a complete outdoor activity. Now it's done indoors, right? Climbing and different things. I feel like we're like the frog. We just keep adapting ourselves to the temperature. And I'm just afraid that we might die inside. And I think this is where cities are heading. So what are we going to do about this? And what is the big picture for us? The big
Mhm.
picture for us is, first of all, because we're urbanizing, we want you to urbanize with FortyGuard. So you can urbanize cooler, so you can urbanize better, so you can urbanize with more resilience, so you can urbanize with profitability, but also you can urbanize making sure that you consider for the human thermal comfort and the impact of what your urbanization is going to bring to the surrounding areas and the larger ecosystem where you are. We want to work with governments so they can have the right policies in place. We want to work with governments so they can have the data so they can enforce those policies. They can set up specifications, they can set up ratings, they can do other things. We want to work with engineers so they can design better, right? We want to work with individuals so they can have access to the data where they can argue as well if this is right or wrong because people's opinion matter, right? We want to take this to every system out there in order for us to bring a temperature visual experience to everyone. You said something interesting. I think that was in Kevin's question. The problem, Mike, with temperature, different than anything else, like if it's, let's say, now raining and there's a lot of water, so it's raining heavily and floods are happening. You can see the flood, right? So you can visualize it. You can look out
Mhm.
of the window and you will see that it's flooding and it's a problem. And so scientists, they can work with this mass of a problem. So they can visualize it, they can simulate it, they can do something about it. But can you look out of the window and tell me what's the temperature now? You can never do that. Temperature
Mhm.
is not visual, right? And even if you want to know what's the temperature without a sensor in space, you have to go outside and you have to experience it over an extended period of time in order for you to say, oh, it's hot. But if you just go outside, you can't tell immediately that it's hot because you just came from a cold place, right? So that temperature visual experience is what we want to bring to the future of our cities.